So we've got some candle holders. They're pretty heavy. $3.99. Oh, there it is. $5.99. $4.99 because it's in between. Yep, $4.99. These would be really pretty painted. Easy job to paint them. On this makeover, we are going to keep this very simple. We're going to start off by cleaning, removing the price tags, and making sure that there's no wax or other items on here. I know there were some spots. Now, originally when I purchased these, I was planning on painting them white, but as I thought about what my needs actually were in our booth spaces or at market, we needed some darker pieces, and I actually really kind of like the color of these in general, so I'm going to go ahead and keep with the darkness. And so after everything is clean, I make sure I get all the wax off. Then I'm going to take out my dark wax by DIY Paint. This is my favorite wax. It is nice and soft and buttery. And really, you're not going to see a huge change in color on these. What we're really going to do is kind of deepen or richen the color here, and we are also going to make it a little bit more shiny. When working with wax, basically what you want to do is get it on. I'm using a small brush because I've got a lot of details, and then you just want to use a clean, dry cloth. You can see mine already has a lot of dark wax on it, and wipe it off. Now, overall, I liked this look, but there were still a couple spots that you could see, a little bit of those white areas where I'm not sure exactly what had happened. It almost looks like it had paint spattering or something on it that I could not get off even after I waxed it. So I'm going to pull out some Rub and Buff, and I am going to use that same brush that I used for wax because the Rub and Buff is also wax, and I'm going to basically dry brush over this entire candlestick, trying just to hit the high edges mostly, and that's going to add a lot of this rich, it is a gold, but it's almost a coppery gold, and so I am going to hit all the high surfaces, and it's going to give it a lot of shimmer. On these broader, wider areas, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just making sure that I don't have very much wax on the brush. And if it looks too heavy, I'll actually use my finger to kind of dull the look a bit because I don't want any big streaks. I do want good coverage on it. I want that shimmer to go across the entire candle. And I absolutely love the way that this came out. But you can see where there's any big streaks, I'm just kind of going to use my finger and soften it a little. And here they are completed. Let me know in the comments below whether you think I made the right choice in keeping them dark, or do you think I should have painted them white or another color? I would love to get your feedback on what you think about these. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think that the accents are really nice, and I think when they're paired with greenery and some candles and a lot of our other spring decor, they will be just the touch of warmth that we need. This piece looks like it might have been a clock at one point, and that piece is out. Really like it. $6.99. What could I do in that whole area to make it look cute? Okay, I figured out what I want to do, and that is to start off with a nice, beautiful spring green, and I'm going to use Fusion's Inglenook. And the reason I'm choosing Fusion paint this time is because I'm going to do a little bit of layering over this, and I want to be sure that this color sticks. And let me tell you about Fusion. It sticks. If you do not want that paint to come off, that's the paint you choose. So cabinets, countertops, whatever, you want it to stay there forever, you choose Fusion. In this little DIY, it's going to work perfectly as a background that will allow me to paint over it and do washes and things like that without coming off the base. The other great thing about Fusion is that in this case, I'm going to use a glaze and I don't have to add a top coat. Normally, if you are painting and you want to use a glaze, you'll need to add a top coat. Because of Fusion has a built-in top coat, that step has been eliminated, saving me some work. And since I'm going to do a fair amount of layering, any saved work is appreciated. And as you can see, I am wiping it on with my paintbrush, and then I have a damp rag and I'm just sort of blotting it off. Now this moonstone has kind of an iridescence quality to it, so there will be a unique sheen at the end. And so once again, I'm going to break out the rub and buff, and this time I'm going to use Italian gold, which is definitely a warmer gold. You can see the gold I used, the autumn gold at the top of the page here, the paper, and the Italian gold in the bottom, and definitely distinctively different colors. I'm doing the same thing here, going over with a dry brush. I want to be sure to hit all of the details, trying to leave a little bit more open than I did on the previous piece. Okay, some footage is missing here, and that's because Sue was out of town, came back, we were talking, I thought I hit record, I apparently did not. So I'm going to tell you the techniques that are kind of missing here in the middle in the next project. Basically, the next project will have the same techniques where I whitewashed everything after I was done and then sealed it. So there will be an explanation coming, and I apologize for the missing footage, but I think you'll get the idea. In the meantime, I am just using some Excelsior to create a little nest, and I put a little ceramic bird and then some little flower pieces that I have from our Luxberry stems. We don't have very many left, but we do sell those on Wednesday and Thursday nights on Whatnot. We sell a lot of greenery on Wednesday and Thursday nights, and these are little clippings from one of the stems that I bought for myself for this exact purpose. Okay, I absolutely adore this piece, and I think the painting came out very, very French cottage, French country, and I think the whitewash and the moonstone was kind of the key to that finish. I'll show you the whitewash in the next segment, and you'll see how we do it. It's easy. Okay, this set is $12.99. Really, I'm not supposed to be getting DIY projects.
We have plenty, don't we?
We have so many. And yet, I really love them.
Because if we're buying DIY projects, there's a cedar bench back there I want. It's a cedar chest bench.
We'll have to go look at it. Yep, I ended up buying it, and yes, Sue also got her cedar bench. For all of the reasons I mentioned in the previous project, I chose Laurentian Inglenook. Laurentian is another gorgeous fusion color. I chose Inglenook by Fusion because I wanted that soft spring color. I wanted the no primer and a built-in top coat. That makes easy peasy work out of this. I'm going to put 2 coats of this pretty much on all of the pieces. Next, I'm going to use DIY paint cake batter, and I'm going to fill in some highlighted areas, we'll say. This is going to be the areas between the leaves on all 3 lids, roofs. I'll also go ahead and paint in the bottom stripes of the canisters and then the rope banding around the bottom of the tray. Because there are so many pieces, I'm pretty much able to just start over again. And when I'm finished with this, now I'm going to add some DIY paint in the color crinoline. I am not worried about full coverage on this. My goal is actually going to be to wipe a fair amount of this away. But I do want this whitewash look. And this is actually what I did on the bird tower, we'll say, that I said I had missing footage of. I basically did a light wash over the entirety of that piece after I added the gold, and then wiped it away with a damp rag, leaving the gold and the blue and all of that underneath, kind of like you're going to see with this. It's roughly the same technique. Now I'm sitting here in the dining room painting, thinking, gosh, it seems awfully dark. I wish I had a spot lamp. And then I realized that last week, Charidad actually sent me one as a gift. So this is a cute little LED lamp. Comes in a small little box. Here you can see what it looks like on Amazon, only $21.99. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. Very easy to assemble. You're going to watch me assemble the entire thing right here. It's basically all put together except for needing to add the USB attachment. I really like that it folds up nice and flat. It has multi light sources, and it can range in lots of color from warm to cool and a couple of shades in between there. So it is great for working at my project level, not having to bring out the giant light that basically blinds me, but having extra light to do my projects. I think it's going to be a great addition. And I don't know if you just saw what I did there, but it actually spins as well, so that you don't have to have the long foot in front of, out in the way of your projects. Your light can rotate so it can just focus on what you're working on. I think that is a great product. And again, thank you so much for the gift, and links will be in the description below. There, now that I have a little light and I can actually see what I'm doing, I'm going back to adding my crinoline on basically everything. I'm covering lightly the yellow and the green. And again, we're going to do a wet distress on these. So we're going to pull that back. Another great reason to use Fusion. It just is going to save you steps. To do this any other way, I would have had to add a top coat. Okay, so I have a very damp rag, and I'm just going to lightly wipe down my pieces. I'm going to wipe a little harder on the yellow because the yellow had 2 coats where the white only had 1, and I want to be able to pull some of that ingle nook from below the yellow as well. This is all about distress. You'll see how it all plays out in the end. Okay, so this is where the distressing gets exciting, if you can have excitement while distressing. So I'm going to go ahead and pull away from the sides, and you can see I'm actually getting rid of some fairly wide swaths. This is not dainty little distressy. This is actually pulling off wide swaths. So there's white in the middle, that crinoline in the middle, and you see the ingle nook on the sides. Okay, for the next steps, we need everything to be sealed. So I've pulled out my Dixie Belle flat top coat, and we are just going to seal everything in from this point. We're going to start doing decoupage after this, and I don't want any of this to pull off. I want this to be in its forever home. Now I'm going to size up the papers that I have for decoupage and give them a little tear, because this paper kind of has a unique look on the side where it actually looks like it's torn, and it tears pretty easily on its own. I didn't have to do the water technique to get the fuzzy edges, if you will. So I'm using my Dixie Belle flat top coat as my decoupage medium here as well. So it is fairly simple to put it on, and you can pull it off and put it back on. I want this to look super simple. It's a little bit wide, so I'm just sort of manipulating the sides to see if they'll curl over just a little bit. I'm going to do this to all 3 buckets, just the front of them. And as a last minute decision, I decided to bring out my layered chocolate by DIY Paint and paint the finials of each of the lids of the buckets in the chocolate, and then wet distress them. And here's just a quick reminder what they look like when I purchased them and what they look like now. In some ways, they're very similar, since I did go ahead and decoupage images on it and went from birds to sunflowers and bees. And it's just a brighter spring color combination. Let me know in the description, do you like the makeover? Would you have done it differently? What would you have done differently? Was Sue right in being a little curse with me on getting them, or do you think it was a good decision? Let me know in the comments. This is another piece I found at the thrift store that same day. I really like it. It was $7.99. It's got a metal topper. It's just very yellow, and that was my primary issue. I don't really want to completely paint it, but I do want it less yellow. So in this case, I'm going to break out DIY Paint in Decrepit. Dark and Decrepit liquid patina. And this is sort of like a stain, if you will, but it is a warmer, richer color. And so I am just going to go ahead and effectively paint this with the liquid patina. Liquid patina is basically like a pigmented top coat in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and just paint the entire thing this way. Okay, now I really love it. It's dark and it's rich and it's got a lot of texture. This is just what we need in our booth with some beautiful dark pieces. Now, this is a fun change of pace for me. We are going to be pouring candles into vintage vessels. And what I'm showing you here is one of the ways you can know how much wax you need is to measure your vessel with water. So in this case, this vessel was 6 ounces of water. So I am going to clean and dry all my vessels, and then I'm going to add some wicks to them. I ordered them from Amazon, and I have a bunch of different vessels that I have been collecting. You'll see some of them as over time. And again, I'm just going to start by measuring each little vessel and making a note of it. This will also help me know how much to charge because, of course, these will be for sale. I will know how much wax went into each vessel so I know that I don't undercharge for product costs. Once all my vessels are clean and dry and I know the volume of each one, I'm going to go ahead and add wicks. The wick kit that I ordered from Amazon had these little stickers as well as 3 different size wicks. So it has double-sided tape. So you just put the wick, attach it to the little sticker and pop it down on the bottom, and then that will hold it in the bottom of your container. It also had this little holder for your wick. Otherwise, you can wrap it around something. So today we're going to be using Jackie's Love Spell wax, and you might have seen me waving my hand over it, like pulling that aroma out. Oh my gosh, the house has smelled so good all day. But anyway, we're going to pop these out and put them in basically what amounts to a double broiler. So I have a pot of water, and then I have a medium batter bowl, glass batter bowl, and we're going to heat the water underneath to melt the wax. This takes a really long time, but fun to watch. Here it is in time elapse, and kind of ignore my husband off to the side. He decided it was time to make lunch, and so you'll see him moving in and around the stovetop area. Now, I am normally really good at pouring things. I don't know what happened today. I did make a bit of a mess with my wax. This is not as easy as it looks. I still have probably more than a dozen vessels to fill and plenty of wax to do it. This was a fun project. I look forward to doing it more. And if you would like some wax, be sure to check out ruthandruby.com. Jackie is where I get my wax, and it is 100% ready. All you got to do is basically melt it and pour it. Easy peasy. And Jackie and I are super excited to announce a collaboration that we are going to be doing 2 to 3 craft kits per week. They will be for sale and available in our Thursday night Whatnot shows, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. These are some of the kits that are coming up. Super excited. We'll also have more of the bunnies from last week's video. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like, subscribe, and share with a friend. It really helps. I'll also make sure that the thrifting video that we featured in this is up next week. Thanks.